What you're looking at is Alphonse Island, the most remote place on Earth Frank and I have ever been. It sits in the middle of the Indian Ocean, more than 400 kilometers from the nearest city, surrounded by nothing but open water and one of the healthiest coral reef systems left on Earth. We came here with our cameras and an open mind.
Apparently they like a neck rub, but I think this one is a bit more shy.
We were not prepared for what this island had waiting for us. We are Frank and Gesa. Frank is a safari guide. I'm a travel writer. We met during our guide training and founded our safari company because we want to get people excited about wildlife and the wonders of our world. What we've learned after years of being in wild places is that something changes in you out here. Something you can't quite put your finger on. This channel is our attempt to put our finger on it, to find the language for what happens to a person when they spend real time in the wild. Ah, paradise. Coffee in hand, toes in the sand, water so clear you can count the fish from the shore. This is the dream, right here. But hang on. Getting to Alphonse Island requires a bit more commitment first. A flight to Manta, the main island of the Seychelles, then a small charter plane, the kind where you watch the pilot's hands on the controls. For another hour south over open ocean.
It's always a bit unnerving getting into a smaller aeroplane and seeing the main island disappear behind you, and it's rattling. And I think the coolest experience was like eventually seeing the little blip on the ocean coming up, and that was the island. And then you get closer and closer, and then you can see this sort of small island with the atoll around it, and you just think, wow, this is like absolute paradise. It made this small aeroplane flight all the more worth it.
So this trip to Alphonse Island was a little bit different for us. We are safari guides, we are land people, we are trained in the African savannah, we're trained in elephants and lions and leopards and so forth.
And when one of our partners that's involved there approached us and says, you know, you guys like safari, have you ever thought of doing an ocean safari? Do you want to come out here? We were like, yeah, sure, we love safari, let's give it a try. But it was so out of our element in the ocean and dealing with a completely different species, and it was just like a whole nother world had been opened up to us.
I feel like they knew exactly how to bait us, so to speak. Ocean safari, that is language that we understand. And if this place could deliver only half of what we find out there in the bush, it was going to be worth the trip. So our goal was very pure and simple. We just wanted to go into this brand new ecosystem that we knew nothing about and learn as much as possible about this incredible place. But I have to admit, I had a little personal agenda of my own. So for as long as I can remember, I have always wanted to see turtle hatchlings making their way to the ocean. And I've tried a few times in Australia, but it was always right beach, wrong time. And so when I was told that Alphonse Island has one of the most significant turtle nesting populations in the inner Seychelles, I knew this was going to be the place. If it was ever going to happen, it was going to happen there. Alphonse Island is about 1.5 kilometers long. The accommodation sits on the edge of the lagoon. There are no cars. Your main mode of transport is a bicycle. At night, the only sounds are the ocean and whatever is moving on the beach outside your bungalow, which, as it turned out, was the perfect little home away from home.
As far as the accommodation goes, a very cleverly designed A-frame with intention put behind the lighting as to not affect the turtles that might be nesting and coming up on the island. They all have very easy access to the beach, but they're not set right on the beach. They're actually set a little bit behind the native vegetation, just to give the animals that natural buffer and breeding zone. You don't want to be right on the ocean, because then you're like right where the animals breed and where they live. So you need to be set a little bit behind that. And Alphonse have done a brilliant job at that.
On that first evening, walking the beach as the sun went down, we had no idea what the night had in store. We thought we'd have to go looking for the wildlife, but it turned out the wildlife had other plans. So the next morning, we woke up, still half asleep. We could hear this strange sound from outside our bungalow.
I woke up to this sort of sweeping sound in the sand. It reminded me of a safari I had in Botswana, where I was alone in a tiny little tent back of house with the staff. Something was digging and then every now and then touching my tent. It felt unnerving to not know what it is, and it was that close it was touching my tent. When I woke up in the morning, I discovered that a hyena had dug basically a massive hole, and what I was hearing was the sound of this hyena digging and throwing sand onto my tent. And I heard the same digging and swashing in the sand. It brought me back to Botswana, but then I remembered, hang on, I'm in the Seychelles. And both Gesa and I immediately kind of sat up and we were like, wow, there's a turtle nesting.
So it is right now 6 o'clock in the morning, and there is literally a turtle digging right behind us, right in front of our bungalow. Currently laying her eggs. Isn't that amazing?
Alright, so we're going to try and sneak a little bit closer. Hopefully if we stay behind her line of vision, she won't be able to see us. There's also a little bit of tree cover. So let's see if we can get a bit of a better look.
When we arrived the day before, we got some very clear instructions on how to approach, or rather not to approach, wildlife, especially these turtle mums when they are about to lay their eggs. They're very vulnerable, they're very skittish and scared, and so you need to be incredibly careful. That was stuff that we knew. We know how to approach animals on foot carefully and respectfully so that they will never know we're there. So we were in our element. It felt very good that morning. We knew what we were doing. So we thought about the wind direction. We were hiding behind some cover, and we were able to get really close to this turtle mum. And what an introduction to this new world that we knew nothing about. It was the first morning. I still get goosebumps. It was so cool to just watch her lay her eggs and then cover it all up again and then make her way back into the ocean. We hadn't even left the bungalow, and the island had already delivered on its wildlife promise. So let me tell you about the sea turtles of Alphonse. Two species nest here regularly, green turtles and hawksbill turtles. If I'm not mistaken, the one outside our door was a green turtle. She weighs somewhere in the region of 150 kilograms, and she can live to 80 years old. She returns to the same beach to nest year after year, sometimes decade after decade. Scientists believe they navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. They imprint on the magnetic signature of their birth beach as hatchlings, and that imprint guides them home for the rest of their lives.
That was incredible, guys. It doesn't get much fresher than this. I mean, we literally just saw her digging the nest, covering it up, and now going down and back into the ocean. Fantastic.
But that was far from the only animal we discovered on land that morning. As the light came up properly, the beach just kept on giving.
We strolled straight out of our bungalow through the vegetation and out onto the beach, and it just immediately struck with there's nothing in front of you. It's just the deep blue ocean right just behind where the waves break off the coral. And I just remember seeing familiar birds actually that I've seen a lot on safari, walking around the coral reef, busy hunting different types of herons. And it was just beautiful to get that sun over the ocean, and you just felt like you have your own private beach in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
So Frank is responsible for the birds this morning with this big camera. I have made it my life's mission to film the hermit crabs on the beach. Under every shell, there's a hermit crab.
Around the corner from our Tartar beach, we met someone else entirely.
Coming back. So these guys are called Aldabra tortoises. They are one of the oldest creatures. They're the oldest creatures on the planet. They can get up to, I think the oldest one is 190 years old. Apparently they like a neck rub, but I think this one is a bit more shy. Curious though. Oh, we got a big one here. This must be the oldest one. Hello. Yeah, you're much more relaxed with me, huh? So I think this guy's name here is George, and he's the oldest tortoise on this island. I'm not entirely sure, but judging by his size, this is George. Hey, George. Do you want to get past me, huh? I'll make some room. Now you're curious. I'm not just touching him out of the blue. I was told that George likes a good neck rub.
Grandpa George.
Grandpa George. You're probably the oldest creature I've ever seen. Now he's down.
There were no tortoises on Alphonse when the island was first surveyed. The first 10 were introduced from the Aldabra atoll in 1999, the largest raised coral atoll in the world. The population now stands at around 75, each one monitored for growth, movement and general well-being. What a start! On land, this was already turning into the kind of abundant wildlife experience we are used to in the bush. But the animals we'd actually come for were somewhere we hadn't looked yet, beneath the surface. Now it was time to gear up, get on the boat and see what was actually down there.
What are we doing?
We're going snorkeling. What do you think?
Do you really sound like that?
No.
before you get into the water, you're sort of very scared and it doesn't seem like the right thing to do at all. After all, there's sharks down there and whatnot. But as soon as you're in the water, everything calms down and you're literally part of this element.
An ocean safari, what a great idea. Why didn't we think of that? We always thought of like, you go on your safari and then you go on a beach holiday where you just sit on the ocean, you know, sipping a drink. But there's an entire ecosystem, and if you have someone who actually is knowledgeable, like marine biologists or guides that can walk you through it, such a brilliant idea.
The reef surrounding Alphonse Atoll sits at the intersection of deep water upwellings and protected shallows, and marine biologists describe it as one of the most pristine coral ecosystems remaining in the Indian Ocean, largely spared the bleaching that has devastated reefs closer to human populations.
And on the way back, we actually managed to find the local dolphin pod as well, and they just love going up in front of the boat and jumping and going really crazy fast. So the show goes on even once you're back on the boat and heading back to land. I feel like a kid in a candy store when I'm snorkeling. I can spend all day down there because it's just so fun, just exploring all day.
But that evening we were told about one more thing worth chasing. Word was that the far side of the island was home to a frigate bird colony, and the only way to get there was, you guessed it, by bicycle. One of the things you notice immediately cycling across Alphonse is the palms, forming a canopy so dense it blocks out much of the sky. Beautiful in a postcard sort of way. The ultimate tropical island image. But they're not native here. They were planted commercially over a century ago for copra, dried coconut flesh, and over time they've overwhelmed the native vegetation the island's birds and reptiles actually evolved alongside. What looks like paradise is, underneath, a monoculture, and there's a slow, ongoing effort to give the island back to itself.
What I also found interesting was that they're thinking about restoring it back to what it should be naturally, but they don't actually know what that is because there's no record of the species that used to occur on this island and how many.
Yeah, the only record they have of this island from back in the day was it said there are a lot of birds. Nothing of the trees, nothing of the plants or any other species that lived here, so it's just a big guess. In a weird way, that coconut palm plantation that used to be there is almost like a blessing, because what normally happens when a new resort is built is that people are destroying natural habitat in order to build these mega resorts. In this case, in the case of Alphonse, there used to be a plantation that had already ruined all the vegetation, and so now we're putting a small resort on there with a very small ecological footprint, and we're actually improving the place by being there.
The light looks absolutely insane up ahead. This is what we're looking for. Sunset, birds, island in the middle of nowhere. This is my happy place. I think I finally found it, eh? Insane. Wow. Wait till I show you this. So good. Here she comes. How's the light, eh?
What are we doing?
Photographing some birds, man.
I'm ready.
Have a go at this.
We'd read a bit about frigate birds before we came, but nothing quite prepares you for seeing them in action. The greater frigate bird is one of the most remarkable seabirds in the world. wingspan approaching 2 meters, body weight under 2 kilograms, built almost entirely for flight. They cannot land on water, their feathers aren't waterproofed, so they spend their lives airborne, sometimes staying aloft for weeks at a time, even sleeping on the wing. And they eat by stealing, the pirates of the sky, harassing other seabirds until they drop their catch, then snatching it before it hits the water. I think what I realized that afternoon with the frigate birds is that Alphonse holds so many more secrets than just the ones that I came for. There, on that beach at that sunset, we realized we have really only scratched the surface of what this place actually is. So the timing was excellent, because the next morning we'd been invited to see how all of it gets looked after and fits together. Now here's the thing that makes Alphonse different. This is ecotourism that actually works, not just a slogan on a welcome brochure. The island partners with the Island Conservation Society, a small team of scientists based here full-time. Funded directly by the conservation levy, every guest pays on top of their stay. Guests can walk out on patrols like this one.
So the conservation walk was right up my alley. That really felt like a walking safari, because you're going out with one of the scientists, a literal expert on the ecosystem, and he's telling you all about what species there are, how they identify them, how they find them. You go tracking the fresh turtle tracks in the morning on the sand. So it was like in my element. I wanted to just absorb all the knowledge that they had. These guys are real hardcore scientists, and their work is actually driving proper behavioral change, not only on the island, but in the surrounding areas as well. And it's gone so far as that their research has actually been used by the governments to further protect marine areas and put other procedures in place. I think it doesn't get more, like, you can actually see where your money is going. You can visit their offices, look at the numbers and the stats that they're gathering, talk to them about the research, the findings that they're having before it's even published, before it's come out. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
We're approaching a time where tourists want to be more involved. They want to know they're doing the right thing, and they want to be involved, and they want to see kind of where their money goes, and they want to have this hands-on approach.
Let's get some of that money and let's put it directly back into nature. And that is summary. That is Alphonse Island.
One of the quieter but genuinely impressive things about Alphonse is the kitchen. The island grows a significant portion of its own produce, herbs, vegetables, tropical fruit, reducing its dependence on supply flights from the mainland significantly. Which is how we ended up at lunch every day, eating vegetables that had traveled approximately 0 meters to get there. But just as we were diving into our meal,
So I was sitting at lunch, and then we saw this turtle swimming past, and it kept popping up its head. And now it's come to shore. I'm like a little kid, I'm so excited. But we also need to be very quiet, apparently they don't like noise. So we're going to edge a little bit closer. So she's still there. Lay her eggs. And we just snuck up behind her.
You can see the tracks here.
I want to intrude too much. But that was very special. It's the first time I'm feeling that. My childhood obsession is back.
but there was one thing we hadn't yet seen. the moment the baby turtles actually reached the ocean for the first time, the thing I'd been quietly hoping for since before we boarded the plane. That afternoon, we went looking.
Actually, what Jack was saying this morning was really fascinating, that there's quite a lot of erosion on the other side of the island, and that's washing across to this side of the island, and has created this huge sandbank here that the turtles actually love. So that erosion is now making the perfect nesting habitat and made an absolute hot spot for them. So naturally, that's where we are. I'm just looking for some movement. You know, I imagine when they come out, they'll try scurrying around. So I'm hoping to pick anything up like that.
Do you think it's still a bit early?
It could be. Apparently they rely on the temperature. So they can even sit just below the surface of the sand and just wait for the temperature to drop, so that then they make a dash for it, a mad dash. And the hopes is that there's not many predators around at night, so no herons, anything like that. They can basically take them. So, but they don't always get it right. And it's a really hot day today. The temperature has now dropped quite a bit. So, you never know.
But nothing. Hatchlings emerge on their own schedule, responding to the cooling of the sand in the evening and the pull of the moon on the water. You cannot force it. You cannot plan for it. You can only be in the right place at the right time. And as it turned out, the next morning we would be in exactly the right place. But not for turtle hatchlings, but something a little larger than that.
When we set off for the manta race, in classic guiding fashion, they try to under-promise and not guarantee, because they're wild animals. You don't know if you're actually going to find them. And fair enough, I mean, you just look out, it's just an ocean. How are we ever going to find manta rays here? But set expectations low. And that's not actually how I normally do things. When I'm on safari with guests, I'm always like, oh, you know, there could be a leopard around the next corner. I try to like hype people up. I try not to promise that we're going to see one, but like that excitement of like, yeah, you know, we're almost there. Just hang on, we're going to see one.
It drives me nuts sometimes. But on that particular day, Frank turned out to be correct.
Believe it or not, it didn't actually take us very long to find the mantas. And boy, it was absolutely incredible.
What felt very different for me being with the manta rays was that they were actively seeking contact or connection. And that is something that I think a lot of humans these days, we want to have this relationship with the wild animal. We want to be like, I don't know, Jane Goodall, or is that just me? We want to have this personal relationship with an animal. We want them to reach out and to acknowledge that we are cool, that we are different, that we are special. And I guess manta rays just do that with anyone, as long as you stay calm and so forth. But that is something, I have experienced that with dolphins before, where it felt like they are getting something out of this interaction as well. But with the manta rays, it really felt like they were kind of having fun with us and they were enjoying our company.
The guides use this opportunity to actually go underwater with a camera and to photograph the mantas from underneath, because the mantas have individual spots underneath and they're actually unique to that animal. So if you can go underneath with a camera and take a photo, you can identify the mantas, and they're using that in a global database to track the movements of these mantas, where they were, what date, what time. So the activity itself is an excuse for these guys to go out and actually do research as well. insane. Insane.
You know, I think in life you get a few truly perfect days. And so when you find yourself in one of them, it is very important that you live them out loud and you don't wish them to be any different, or you don't think, oh, this on top of that would have been great. You just really try to be present with what's actually there and clock that as one of those perfect days. And my God, was this one of those perfect days. Which reminded me of an important lesson a safari, like no other experience, can teach you. There's a particular kind of quiet that wild places give you, if you let them. The noise in your head just goes. I felt it on safari before, many times before. That moment when you stop narrating everything to yourself and just become a pair of eyes in the landscape. You know, doing this sort of thing long enough, you really learn that a sighting of an animal is not owed to you. It's something that happens or it doesn't, and that doesn't define how great your morning was or how great your safari was. You really learn to just love being out there. You're just glad you went out and you got up at sunrise and you had this amazing day. And you're just appreciative of everything. And so me not having seen my hatchlings, I realized then that that's not what it's about. Yeah, I might never see my hatchlings, but that won't stop me from trying. Our trip to Alphonse ended way too soon, but in true safari fashion, we didn't give up until the very last moment. And so we went back to the hatchling beach one more time. It is such a crazy thought to me that right now on this beach, there's potentially thousands upon thousands of turtle hatchlings, or at least eggs.
It is incredible. It was interesting that we learned that the turtles will actually lay up to 3 different clutches of eggs in a season. So, and they lay about 100 to 120 in one go. So it's quite incredible, and like you say, they could be laying multiple clutches on this beach. There's probably thousands of turtles here.
There's thousands of turtles here. And that thought just warms my heart.
Yeah, so we just need one.
Sometimes you see a little sand being thrown around and you think you got something, and it's a hermit crab every single time.
There's somewhere here in this mound. So that's why we're carefully walking through here. There's some eggs in here somewhere. How goes it, G?
I mean, I do think we get a lot of points for effort. We get a lot of points for trying. But I am losing hope now.
It's not good to lose hope.
Only for this time, at least. The hatchlings went to the ocean without us, on their own schedule, in their own time, guided by something older than anything we understand.
We've tried it.
Well, I mean, they are known to hatch at night, so we would be incredibly lucky to see them hatch just after sunset. I didn't get the one thing I came here hoping for, but turns out that was never really the point. What we got instead was a week inside a place that's actually doing the right thing. And that turned out to matter more than any single sighting could have.
Look, Alphonse is worth it. And I think if I put my travel agent cap on for a moment, it's for people who want to have a closer to nature experience on an island, who want to actually go somewhere where your travel matters, where there's an impact of you staying there, and you can go snorkeling and diving, fishing and talk with conservationists. It's like an expedition on that island. So we didn't get them, huh?
Like I said, you always have to leave some for the next safari.
I have to say though, it's pretty epic just being here.
Very special. Glad we came.
We'll be back. And we're back already.